Hello and welcome to KLTV's yearly wind-up. I'm Dave Hodgson. The past year's seen many tumultuous events both in Britain and around the globe. We've brought together the KLTV presenting team to see what the big stories of the year have been for them and to see what their hopes are for 2017. I'm joined by Helen Ashcroft, Nicola Green and also Kyle Warwick. So, let's look at the big stories first. And for me, I think the turning point of the year and the down of the year was the tragic assassination, and that's all you can call it, of Joe Cox. It seemed to me, reading the news, looking at the news, presenting the news, getting it on air first with the story was slightly inaccurate, but that's how we got it, that it's almost, I've become almost anaesthetised to it. There are so many people dying, being killed. It's the life of a family, it's the life of the area. And would you believe it got all the community in and around Kirklees together for the wrong reason, didn't it? So for me, it's that tragic death that really turned and spelt out what 2016 is. Helen, how about you?
For myself, I think it has to be the interview that I did with Alison Mitchell from BASH, which is the homeless charity in Brighouse. I think you presume that a small area or small town like Brighouse won't have those sort of problems, but to hear that obviously they do, and they've got volunteers that are willing to go out and see these people and support these people. But not just that, it isn't just a quick fix. What they're wanting to do is do a long-term programme for them and hopefully get them into accommodation if that's what that individual wants.
One parting shot from me, it is interesting that I was across doing some filming there and we asked people about homeless and there was nobody that really thought there was anybody homeless. No. In Brighouse. So, you know, round of applause for BASH metaphorically, because absolutely. That means they're getting the job done in one way or another, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And I do follow them on Facebook as well, because they have a Facebook page, and to hear the good news stories and the contributions that people have given is really quite something. We're very, very impressed.
Excellent. Kyle, what about you? Because, I mean, you've been following some of the really deep local news stories, haven't you? As our main newscaster, you get really heavily into what's happening, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah, and I think it's, for me, it's unavoidably the biggest story of the year. For Kirklees has certainly been the news of the A&E closing. And to see, again, the way that the town and the area, Kirklees as a whole really is pulled together behind something that's ultimately so disastrous for the area in a lot of ways, but has massively brought the community together, has been really beautiful for me to see and report on in a lot of ways. I can remember going up to Briar Court for the initial meeting and the initial discussion, and just the number of people and university students who aren't even from the town who were up there protesting, and you know, to see it develop. It's been great to see how it has brought the town together, but again, it's another case of a kind of tragedy where it's been this slow unfurling, and as much as people have put in, that they've been faced with equal amounts of resistance from CCG and central government. So I would say that massively that's been the biggest story for myself.
And it does seem a shame that it's something that in a way is a tragedy, and it takes that to get Barry Shearman and Jason McCartney, two people on the opposite political divide, actually sharing the stage and sharing the same opinions.
Indeed, I mean, that is, you know, there seems to have been a real focus on this cross-party initiative in the area, and it bringing together people that might not necessarily work together, and certainly it's such it's something that's going to affect so many people in the town that as politicians it doesn't matter what party you represent. you have to get behind the campaign to stop this, because it's just going to have such a massive effect on so many of their constituents' lives.
Indeed.
For us, but for us, where we live, we are now, if this goes ahead, going to have to go to Barnsley, because to travel through the Ellen bypass and into Halifax, it just isn't going to make sense for us. And my husband has a heart condition. He needs to get to hospital straight away. And if I have to take him and I'm having to go down the Ellen bypass, nobody would appreciate that he needs that hospital now. Yeah. So I just can't do it.
Absolutely. I mean, my parents, I'm the top end of the Combe Valley, so I'm a Marsden lad myself, live in Slathwaite, but there's almost a toss of a coin as to whether you decide to go to Oldham or you decide to go to Halifax, and that's do you go to a different county or do you go to a different town? And that's a decision that people should not be put into, especially when the main thrust of it is finance.
Yeah. We did cover that story with Oldham saying we've already got Rochdale, whose A&E is closed. How can we cope with Huddersfield? How can we cope with Halifax? We just haven't the room. So I think that's where Barnsley started coming into the equation, but I could be wrong about that.
Indeed, I mean, I would like to say as well, a massive amount of kudos and respect has to go to people like Carl Deitch and Natalie Ratcliffe, who have been massive in the push to keep the campaign going and to get as much publicity. I know that they've organised trips down to London and things, and those guys have to, regardless of the outcome, those guys deserve a massive amount of respect for the time and energy that they've put into the community.
Yeah, because what we see as people sort of consuming that news is not even the tip of the iceberg of the amount of work that they're putting in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. Nicola, we haven't forgotten you, Miller.
No, sat here all quiet.
What's the marking point of 2016 for you?
For me, I think following on Facebook and some of the stuff that you've covered on KLTV, it's suicide and also depression in young male adults. I didn't realise that more young male adults die of suicide than cancer. You know, it affects the ages of 10 to 24. And I think it's a big thing. Is it a social thing? Is it the parents? What is it? But I mean, from a young age, boys don't cry. You know, they don't show emotion. And I think it's a real problem, and it needs, awareness needs to be raised about it.
One of my son's friends from school, he committed suicide. He'd just done his GCSEs, didn't get the results, as in it wasn't time for the results to come out, committed suicide. And you know what the parents must go through, because it is something that people don't talk about, and especially boys. Yes. You know, hide their emotions.
Yes, certainly. I think it has been something that has been quite prevalent through the year. I think, and certainly knowing friends of friends that have committed suicide and things like that. And I think you're right about it being something that men don't talk about their emotions too much. We were having a little conversation beforehand, and I was saying about how I kind of feel like there's a middle group of young males at the moment where there's now an expectation on men to talk about their emotions in a way that has never been expected of them before. So men of my dad's generation, probably 40 and 50 upwards, it's accepted that you don't talk about your emotions, and it isn't expected of them. Young lads who are just being born will grow up with it being normal for them to talk about their emotions. And I think there's a middle group of males around my age who there is an expectation on them from society to express their emotions and to talk openly about their emotions. But they've grown up around males who that wasn't an expectation, it was frowned upon. In fact, you just, if you're going to talk about something emotional, you expect to have the mick taken out of you when you do it. And it's a very difficult and particular situation that I think actually is particular to a section of society, but won't necessarily be relevant to young males who are just being born.
My background is nursery nursing. That's where I first started out. And there's a lot of misconception that boys shouldn't play with dolls, shouldn't play with prams, shouldn't do that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
But what happens when you become an adult and you become a parent? You push a pram, you hold a baby, you make tea, you do those things. So I think encouraging young boys to be able to play like any child will help children's emotions as they grow older.
I'm sorry to break in here, folks, but as time is pushing in, we would like, I hope that you will like to look forward to 2017 and what you think that might bring, what you hope it will bring, what you fear it might bring is on offer. Can I lead off with you?
Certainly. Well, personally, my eldest child is getting married next year, so I'm really looking forward to that and extremely proud. My eldest stepdaughter is going to Camp America to work with the homeless children. Business side, I'm hoping that Purple Dog continues to grow and develop, and I hope that I remain healthy and happy in everything that I do.
Maybe that come the end of 2017, Gareth Southgate's still England manager. That would be nice. And who knows? Maybe Huddersfield Town making the playoffs. Simple things, indeed. Yeah. So football mainly. I hope England and Huddersfield Town do well in football.
Couldn't have put it fairer myself, Nicola.
For me, I think this year's. I'll be glad to see it back of this year's. I had open heart surgery in March this year.
Oh, wow.
And, I know we were talking about the hospital earlier, but I'm so grateful to Leeds General Infirmary because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So, and the opportunities that I've got here with KLTV, that's just come out of blue, and I'm really excited and privileged to be here with you guys. So it's,
Let me say for 2017, I'd like to see KLTV make as much progress as it has in 2016. We have, as our longest serving member, I have a glimpse of what it was like at one time, but in the last 2 or 3 years, this place, somebody from earlier on would not recognise this place now, would they?
Indeed, yeah. I mean, I always joke with people a little bit when they come in to go back and look at some of the original weekly wind-ups that we did, and I would still encourage people to do that because
we've a whole library.
Absolutely, and we're not embarrassed by where we've come from. We know exactly where we've come from, and we're extremely proud of the progress that we have made. To consider that we're sat here on this set like it is compared to where we were 2.5 years ago, the progress is just exponential, really. So I would double down on that absolutely, and long may KLTV continue.
Here.
Thank you. Well, that's it for yearly wind up, and my thanks to Helen, to Nicole, to Kyle.
Thank you.
And let's see what 2017 brings, and we hope certainly it will be a bumper year for everybody. It certainly will for our production crew. So everybody have a safe new year, and goodbye from us at KLTV.